I'm above average.
But honestly, if you turn your brain off and get a little drunk or high, this shit is hilarious. Don't get me wrong though, entertaining doesn't mean good or well written. This is complete dog shit. After releasing something that got as many eyes as Ryu of Healer did, everyone's attention would be on what Rui Tsukiyo's next work would be. Is the man capable of actually writing a good story with compelling characters? Or is he just doomed to produce fanfiction tier incel bait for the rest of his days? Coming in, I was under the impression that the guy behind the mask was just an intelligent businessman who created a flaming dumpster fire in hopes of getting his foot in the door. And well, now that he's managed that, realistically, he had two choices. Continue down the path of controversy, releasing more shock value trash, the 6ix9ine route, or take all the previous drama and attention he'd received and convert it into an actual fan base with genuinely good work, the Lil Nas X route. So, the question I hope to answer in this video is, did the Foxman become a hated rainbow rat or a beloved gay cowboy? Let's talk about it. We start off at an auction, kidnapped girls being dressed up and brought out to be bid on by wealthy nobles. Now off the bat, I couldn't help but notice that these bitches are looking a little young, but hopefully that's just a stylistic choice done by the studio. Anyway, as one of the girls is receiving her bid of $3 in a Jolly Rancher, something seems off about her. She doesn't look scared or nervous like the others. It's almost like she's looking around, studying the faces of the people watching her, before pulling out a strap and dropping a kill streak on them. It was a sting operation all along. A group of assassins infiltrated the slave auction. The woman behind the whole thing starts hauling ass, but little does she know there's a sniper sitting outside. Wait, what the fuck? He's a boomer. The actual plot follows this guy, a man born and raised as an assassin, used as a tool by a group only referred to as the Organization. The man knows he's not a hero, emotionlessly killing his targets, no questions asked. But he's old now, and this was his last mission. He retires from the Organization and boards a flight to Japan to start a new life, and as the plane takes off, he closes his eyes, ready for what the future holds. It was all a setup. The Organization was never just gonna let one of their assets loose. He was just a tool to them, and now that they're finished playing with him, he needs to be disposed of. The assassin realizes what's going on and sees that there's no escape. This is gonna be where he dies, and so he accepts death with open arms. So the main character's dead, but don't forget, this shit's an isekai. The assassin has his soul summoned by the goddess, who has the most obnoxious voice I've ever fucking heard. Dude, it's literally like taking a cheese shredder to the balls. It's awful. She gives the man a choice. Either have his memory wiped and be reincarnated back to Earth, or be reborn into a world of swords and magic, keeping all of his memories and skills in assassination. The second one has a catch though. The goddess needs someone dead, the hero of the world. We'll call him Kirito. He's a massive piece of shit. After saving the world from an evil demon king, he'd go on to become a corrupt dickhead, and eventually cause the end of the world himself. So the goddess needs someone to drop his ass. And you know, option 2 sounds like a more entertaining anime. So the assassin's reborn into the body of a baby, mentally staying the same old man. Oh yeah, and the goddess pimped all this shit out. In this fantasy world, everyone has different stats and skills, and she maxed him out in everything and even let him pick his own abilities out. She also made him be born into a family of noble assassins who pose as doctors, controlling both life and death in the kingdom that they serve. We watch the assassin grow up as a child genius and begin his journey of training himself and assembling a team of servants to help in his inevitable final battle with Kirito. Let's start off with some of the things I liked. The assassin's a well-written and genuinely interesting character. In his old life, he knew about how much of a badass he was, so he just says some of the most out-of-pocket shit to his assistant sometimes.
だが素人同然だ。
これでも首席ですよ。
なら同期はクズ揃いだな。童貞の頃の私の方がまだ使える。
そんな、これでも私は一生懸命やって。
And when he chooses to start a new life in a fantasy world, it actually makes sense. See, on Earth, he never got the chance to experience emotions. Things like happiness and love never got to make their mark on the man. And so parallels can be drawn between the flight to Japan being almost like a rebirth to him, and then him actually getting reincarnated into the fantasy world. The concept of a grown man stuck in a child's body leaves room for a lot of degenerate anime shit. But the author actually manages to handle the subject with care, which is fucking incredible considering his other show. show. The assassin doesn't do any weird shit at all. He's a man on a mission, and everything he does is just a means to an end. The show has a couple flashbacks, but they're few and far between, and when they show up, they're actually pretty interesting. For example, we get scenes of the goddess previously summoning other people to do the same job, like a samurai or a special forces soldier, and we get to see how they all end up eventually failing. The show's music, it's nothing special, but that's a good thing. You see, background music's only really noticeable when it's either shockingly good or really out of place. So when it doesn't leave an impression, it just means that it was well selected. The show also gives off like this aura of self-awareness. There are certain scenes where you're on edge, waiting for some typical anime trope to play out, and then the complete opposite happens. It feels like a giant middle finger to the entire isekai genre. You make a loser main character who gets born into a world overpowered. We have a badass in the real world who eventually has to face that overpowered main character. It's a nice surprise because it doesn't feel like another mass-produced piece of shit. With a show about assassins, you need good action, and here it doesn't disappoint. The choreography is pretty good, but what really stood out to me were the sound effects. Everything from the swiping of a knife to the gunshots of a magic rifle sound really clean. In summary, if you combine a good protagonist, an exciting future antagonist who hasn't been revealed yet, and a good plot, you have a show that's both easy to sit through and gets you excited. Now let's talk about what I didn't like.
参りました、父上。
よろしい、脱ぎなさい。
This. I didn't like this. But no, for real, making the main character and his crew young kids is kinda unsettling. Like whenever I see children in anime, it gives me this really uneasy feeling because of some strange tendencies of the Japanese, and also the anime degenerates, you know, cooming their pants over them. It might be a personal thing though, but you know, keep this shit out of my shows. No 13-year-old should be looking like this, no matter if it's animated or not. The anime is also a harem. It's a well-disguised harem, but at the end of the day, the main character goes around recruiting girls to his assassination squad, and slowly they start falling in love with him. And I can't help but think back to Redo with Healer every time a new girl gets added. It needs some variety. Even though up to this point the assassin's been cool about it, there comes a certain time when you see a squad consist of a bunch of underage bitches, and you just gotta take a moment and be like, yo, what the fuck am I watching? Finally, the last thing I didn't like is the fucking title. It's so unnecessarily long, and it really makes me wonder why it isn't just the first part. Like, the world's finest assassin sounds pretty good, but that just might be some translation stuff going wrong. Overall, the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated as an aristocrat is proof that Foxman is just a massive troll, and that he has the ability to write normal, compelling characters that aren't incel psychopaths. I think that it has a lot of potential, and if they manage to do some crazy shit with the confrontation of the hero, I think it's gonna turn out to be an above average show. I enjoyed my time with it, so I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Wait, I forgot the loli tag. 7 out of 10. Good show, but fuck them kids. Wait, that came out wrong. No, don't end it like that, please.